we're going live, guys.
Quiet.
Let's just invent something.
Um,
I'm not saying anything. I
Invent their mousetrap.
Ixnay.
We're live.
E-way, our way,
Live from Long,
live lay.
live from Long Meadow.
I see live there. Okay, live.
Live, it's Saturday night.
No, live. It's apples for the orchard.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, class studying apples from the orchard for the second time. This class, we started our first time in May 2014, and the second time May of 2020. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Pasmosha, Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contains selections of Tisim Kabbalah from the Arizal of Reis HaKluria, based on the weekly Torah portion, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. Okay, we're in Vayeira chapter 2. We're up to page 89. The last thing we talked about, we were talking about was...
Oh, you didn't hear what we said after you could not get back on, Chaim.
Oh, that we
I
wanted
heard,
to
but you
start
didn't say it again.
Yeah.
We said that we're going too fast.
Okay, so if it's okay with you guys, if everyone agrees to it, I'm fine to go slower. And I guess by going slower, you mean that we should stop and discuss.
Yes. Because
Is
there were
everyone-
a lot of things going on last week, each one of which warranted at least a discussion or two.
So you should stop and let me know that you want to discuss, and that's I'm okay with that. I will repeat what we did last week, how we finished off, and
Okay.
we'll begin with that as our springboard and open up the floor.
Okay.
Last week we talked about the flow of divine energy into the world. It happens at two levels of interactions. At two levels, the interactions are known between components that are referred to as male and female. One is in the level that we understand as intellect. One is in the level that we understand as emotion. At the level of intellect, it is the interaction between chachma and bina. And in the level of emotions, it's between the components of ze'er anpin and nukva or malchus. One of the points that's brought out in this chapter, I think we had last week and we're going to have today too, if we get there and our discussion gives us time for that, is that the interactions occur on two different levels. On the one hand, it occurs at a level that is referred to, the terms that we use are undeveloped, immature, lacking intellect, external, superficial. And the interaction between and on the other hand, when we do mitzvahs, or involved in serving Hashem and so on, then the interaction occurs in a way that's called internal, developed, mature, are some of the words that we use, maybe another one or two. When we have the mitzvah of a person finding a bird's nest that was not set up, it's not your chicken coop, not the hen house, and you find a nest and there are either eggs or fledglings in the nest, then there's a mitzvah to send away the mother bird. I had this last spring. During the lockdown, I was davening at home. I happened to go out to the backyard and I saw in the bushes there was a bird's nest with 4 eggs in it it was just over my eyesight, but I was able to hold up my camera and get a picture of it. And I was able to follow up for the next few weeks. I did not send away the mother bird. And I didn't want to take the fledglings anyway. Okay, I didn't have any worms to feed them. But this is a mitzvah. The Torah says shaleach to shalach esa'im. It uses a double term to say send away the mother bird. And the double term is common in Torah. It's a style of the Torah. The Gemara, there's an argument about the double term and what we can learn from it. If there's anything to learn from it or not. So here it says, send away the mother bird. It's often translated as you shall surely send. So over here we mentioned at the end of last week that it refers to sending away, that the Shekhinah leaves, and this aligns, or it's represented by this occurs when the relationship between the male component and female components, both in the intellect and in the emotions, when the relationship becomes superficial. It's no longer a developed, mature internal relationship. So the Torah says twice, shaleach to shalach, send away, send away, to note that there are two levels at which this flow of divine energy is interrupted. And that's why it says es ha'aim. The word es is a word that's not translated, has no translation, but it's used in front of the direct object of a sentence. Often, but not always. So the aim, mother, in the mother bird, in this case, aim refers to Bina. We've had that many times. But S is ancillary to the direct object, aim, or mother. So this ancillary term, S, will refer to nukva, that the interaction between the male and female components is no longer an internal true relationship. It's only occurring on a superficial level. This is where we stopped.
So there are several questions. One question is, how can Abba and Ima, which are companions that never separate, get divorced? How is that possible? That's one. And sending away the mother bird, as Rudy talked about after you left last week, that's you shall live long. I mean, that gives you a long life. There's a very positive connotation to that. So how does that make sense that it's also part of another form of divorce or a separation of the Shekhinah, both the upper and the lower Shekhinah? Those are just two questions that were raised last week. If I'm not mistaken, those were clearly raised, but you weren't around. Anyway, we were with those questions last week.
So I sit right next to my router, and this happened to me a number of times in these Zoom classes where I'm getting cut off. I was on a Zoom meeting. I was in this room next to the router. My wife was at the other end of the house. Mm-hmm. My computer cut out. Her computer kept on going fine. So, go figure. The first question you asked was, how can it be that if they never separate, that the separation only occurs of the internal relationship, the developed and mature relationship, or stable relationship, if you want to use that word. But when it means that to send away and that they separate, or that there's this divorce that occurs, the superficial relationship continues. What we do have to understand is what's the difference between the intellect that says that the two partners that never separate, as opposed to the emotions, Zer and Ampin, that apparently they do separate. So we have to understand what's the difference, because apparently the intellect is different than the emotions.
It talks about two divorces at the bottom of 88, the supernal Shekhinah and the lower Shekhinah.
Supernal Shechina meaning the intellect, Chachma and Bina.
Yeah, Chachma Bina, right.
The other divorce occurs in the emotions, between Zerampin and Nukva.
That one, that's not hard. It's it's the supernal one I'm a little bit confused about, because I don't know how Abba and Ima can separate. That's as I always understood they were always together. That's why.
So when we say that they separate, from what I understand from this, when we say that they separate, it means that their relationship continues only on the superficial level, but not on the mature, developed internal level. Okay, so they don't actually separate. That's the point over here. They don't actually separate, but they continue to interact, but it's just not in the proper way. It's not in the stable. It's not what we would call a healthy, stable marriage, healthy, stable relationship.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I am missing something, because
What causes that separation?
when we are not following Torah,
So when we're sinning,
when we're not serving Hashem, we're not following Torah, not doing what we're supposed to do, that's what causes that relationship not to be healthy and developed and mature.
And that's bottom up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is something, as I mentioned last week, and I wrote it in the notes, this is a foundational concept. And it's something that we come across quite a bit. So I'd like us to keep our eyes open as we learn each week and see if when we come across when we come across things that will add to our understanding of the interaction between Zerampin and Nukva, and the interaction between Chachma and Bina. One thing that I've been thinking about is it's so much easier to understand this looking at a physical, regular relationship between male and female, where we talk about relationships. So certainly there's the physical aspect of the relationship, but then there's also the emotional aspect of the relationship. And then the intellectual relationship. There's the values relationship. Many years ago, we had a psychiatrist who davened at yeshiva. Wonderful man, great guy. And if I had issues, I would go talk to him. He told me that, and he was very kind and understanding. I spoke to him about, he told me about patients that he had. A couple came to him, and they were having, I guess, marital issues. So he told them to separate, live in the same house, but not to be intimate for whatever, a week or two. He said, next session they came, he says, "No, did you follow?" They says, "Well, we tried, for the first few days, and then we got back together." So he smiled, so I said, it's that simple. Their marital problems are solved. And I was in my 20s, or I certainly wasn't older than 30. And he says, no, he says, the marital problems aren't solved. He says, they're still there. He says, in the physical relationship, yes, the physical relationship, they got together, but the other issues are still outstanding. They haven't been treated. So my point is that the relationship between a husband and wife occurs on many different levels. And so thinking about that, And understanding that is what helps us understand the interaction between Ze'er Anpin and Nukva, for example. And it's not really a male, it's not really a female, it's not really the interaction, the marital relationship and the intimacy that we have over here in our world, but it's similar to what we have. It shares many commonalities, and therefore it's described using metaphors that we're able to relate to, and that helps us understand the interaction or understand different properties about the interaction. What was your second question?
The second question dealt with the sending away of the mother bird, which which gives you. I understood the rest of that piece is that you have your life will be long. It'll be a long life. You'll be granted some. I don't remember the exact words, but it's your life will be. You'll have a longer life, and that seems to be a very positive factor. Where we're talking about something that's not very positive, which is pretty seriously not something very immature. That piece.
So that's an excellent question. That in the Torah, it puts it in a positive way.
Mhm.
And over here, it looks at it. It's not a good thing.
Right.
I don't have an answer for that. I didn't think of that question. It's an excellent question.
Okay. All right. Those were 2 points that just popped up that we were racking around. There may be others. It was kind of quick at the end there, and I remember those two. I mean, but those two were pretty glaring to the best of my recollection.
Chaim, would you like to take a shot at answering it?
Do we lose you again?
No, he's moving.
I
He's
froze again.
thinking.
No, you
Yeah.
didn't freeze. We can see movement. You're just not answering the
I
question.
didn't hear. I'm thinking.
I know you're
Can't
thinking.
fake it now.
Yeah,
Hold on.
there you are.
You never went away.
Yeah, no, it was.
It could be that we look at it in isolation. It could be we look at it in isolation without the rest of the phrase.
Mhm.
I don't think so. It could be. Could be that there is a remedy. That when this happens and the Shekhinah departs and the supernal and the lower, they're not having the good relationship, and we're not getting a good flow, then this is what you should do to solve the problem, and then it'll be good for you and you'll have long life. In the Torah it says, send away the mother bird, but the babies keep for yourself, so that it will be good for you and you'll have long life. So it could be that line, but the babies take for yourself is telling you how to remedy the situation.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, is it also that you're showing, I mean, the premise of this is that you're shooing away the mother bird because you want the eggs or the fledglings because you're hungry, right? You want to eat something because you're eating the food. And you're shooing away the mother bird as a sign of compassion.
To the mother bird.
To the mother bird, right.
Mhm.
Because the assumption is that the mother is going to feel pain if she witnesses you taking her babies away.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to note that within this one instance, it doesn't, it focuses on the fact that it's a mother bird and not necessarily an individual. I mean, as you know, wouldn't it have been more powerful? No, I take that back. It's probably more powerful being a bird, which may seem insignificant, as opposed to using a human being as an example. But I just find it very, very interesting that by doing this one act, Hashem promises you a long life. So your length in years is extended for creating a divorce, which is analogous to what the Arizal is saying, that this is symbolic of the divorce between the Nukva and Zeir Anpin, right? So the I mean, in some ways, is this almost like a chok? Is there no understanding? Is it like the red heifer? There's just no understanding.
No
Or is there-
understanding of what? Of the mitzvah in its simple sense, or of the Kabbalistic interpretation?
The interpretation, the mitzvah's understood, the compassion's understood, and it's not just for compassion, it's also so there'll be a continuation of life. The mother will continue to maybe make eggs. So that's another piece of it. It's compassion and that. So she'll, I mean, if you know about a little bit about chickens, that they continue to give eggs and you afterwards. So, but the point is, there is a negative piece of this divorce piece, and there's such a positive piece about what you're doing here with the mitzvah, and that's the dilemma. I just can't put them together. And I understand, where you're coming from, but it's difficult to put the negative interpretation together with the other piece. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. True. I wouldn't even know where to look for this. Maybe if I had a Zohar or something.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, that was discussed.
Okay. Would you guys like to continue?
Please.
Sure.
So I'm going to share. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. Good for you that you've been thinking about it and that you have some sort of explanation. I don't want to see me. Come on. Okay. No. Okay. So that's where we left off. 7. The explanation is that interaction takes place on 2 levels, superficial and internal. And like I said, I think this refers to interaction between Zeir Anpin and Nukva. I think I wrote that because, as you said, Jim, as you pointed out, that the Chachma and Bina, or Abba and Ima, are 2 friends that never separate.
Mm.
So could be this is only in Zeir Anpin and Nukva that you can have a superficial relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not clear.
Mm-hmm.
The external relationship occurs constantly to sustain the world. Oh, actually, last time we talked, one of the times we use is to use the word back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I think I wrote that last week. It's a back-to-back relationship, and that is more common. We come across it a lot. A statement in the Talmud that during the third, it says the first trimester, the second trimester, I don't remember exactly what it says, but it says the third trimester, marital relations are good for the woman, good for the embryo, and good to produce milk. And we now will use that to define the interaction between Zeir Anpin and Nukva that sustains the world and is constant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Alan, you begin?
Yes, with the answer.
89. So bottom line is that that Zeir Anpin and Nukva can interact 2 ways. They can interact just on a on an autopilot, on a superficial, what is the word, subsistence? Like just enough to sustain the world, keep the world going, without all the brachas. Or it can be a healthy relationship that occurs on many levels, as we said, intellectual, emotional, other things, physical, and values, and they're just a wonderful match, and they're interactive with each other, caring about each other. And then that would be, and that's, yes, Rudy, through our devotion and observance of mitzvahs. Okay, so Alan, 89, right in the middle.
The answer is that there are two types of coupling, one external and one internal. The external one is never lacking, requires no arousal from below, and exists in order to sustain all the worlds. As our sages state, marital relations are good for the woman, good for the embryo, and good for the milk. The external superficial coupling of Abba and Ima is indeed continuous and supplies all reality with the minimal life force it requires in order to continue to exist. The statement of the sages reads, during the first 3 months of pregnancy, marital relations are harmful to the woman and to the embryo. During the middle 3 months, they are harmful for the woman, but good for the embryo. During the final 3 months, they are good for the woman and good for the embryo. Presumably, the Arizal is referring to the final trimester when the woman is most visibly a mother.
Okay, thank you. Now, 8, the statement about entering Upper Jerusalem and Lower Jerusalem refers to internal relationship. When Zeir Anpin and Nukva are ready for a meaningful internal relationship, Abba and Ima are able to convey intellect to them. The Arizal states specifically, conveying new souls to Zeir Anpin. Oh, he states that we're talking about that bringing new souls to Zeir Anpin and Nukva, which Abba and Ima must receive from levels even beyond them. Okay, this is the best I can get out of it. Okay, I'm sorry I don't have better understanding. Alan, go ahead.
The second is for the sake of issuing new souls into the world. It is with reference to this coupling that the Holy One, blessed be He, swears that he will not enter the Upper Jerusalem until he enters the Lower Jerusalem. New souls means both literally new souls that will invest physical bodies and all new spiritual revelations of divine consciousness.
Go
on.
What's
still involves
1 minute?
Higher Jerusalem.
Mhm.
Yes, go ahead.
The meaning is that he will not enter the Higher Jerusalem until Zeir Anpin and Nukva are ready to enter. The meaning cannot be to really enter, for the purpose of their coupling, that is that of Zeir Anpin and Nukva, is to elicit new souls from Abba and Ima. And if Abba and Ima do not elicit mature mentality for themselves, how could it descend from them to Zeir Anpin and Nukva?
Mhm.
The order followed in the transmission of new souls is as follows. Zeir Anpin and Nukva elicit them from Abba and Ima.
Mhm.
Abba and Ima elicit them from Arich Anpin. And Arich Anpin elicits them from Atik Yomin, and so on, to the end of all levels. For the higher one is presided over by a higher one yet, and there are yet higher ones above them.
Okay, so what there's stuff here we don't understand. I'm going to talk about what we do understand. We serve Hashem. We're studying Torah. We're observing mitzvahs. This causes Zeir Anpin and Nukva to interact at a level that's in a way that's called face to face, a very strong bond between them, and they're able to interact with each other, relate to each other in a very close manner. This in turn triggers a flow of intellect from Chachma and Bina, which in turn causes a flow from the lower level of Keser called Arich Anpin, literally the long face, which in turn triggers a flow from the level above it called Atik Yomin, which literally means ancient days, and higher. So yes, Rudy, we turn on the spigot. We make the spark that causes this chain reaction. And the point, the ground zero, or I guess, for all this happening is at Ze'er Ampin and Nukva of Atzilus. For the 6 midos and Malchus in Atzilus, for them to interact. It's like engaging the cogs, as we say in Chicago, engaging the cogs of the gears and putting a whole thing in motion, making a well-oiled machine. Therefore, number 9 says, our main task is to repair Ze'er Ampin and Nukva through serving Hashem, will cause them to interact. When they interact, the Gvura, judgment of Nukva, is tempered by the Chesed, benevolence of Ze'er Ampin. We use the Hebrew word is sweetened, so I choose either to use sweetened or tempered. It's the same thing. Continue, please, Jim.
I have a question.
Yes. I was going to stop after this. Let's do one more paragraph, and then we'll stop for discussion.
Therefore, the words "until he enters" mean until they are ready to enter. And of course, that goes back to the Holy One, blessed be he, swears he will not enter Upper Jerusalem until he enters Lower Jerusalem. So that's going back to modify that. Okay.
And from all this, continue from all this.
What's the question?
Well, I thought there was a question. All right.
Yeah, after this, we'll pause.
All right. From all this, it follows that our main task is to rectify Ze'er Anpin and Nukva and cause them to couple, and that the principal coupling consists of sweetening of the states of Gevura of Nukva by coupling them with the states of Chesed, the coupling of Gevura with the states of Chesed. As we explain elsewhere, Gevura judgment is predominant in the feminine archetype, while Chesed inclusiveness predominates the male archetype.
Okay, thank you. And we will now open the floor.
So my question is that based upon what I'm hearing, what is the connection directly, the direct connection as to why this discussion is occurring in Parshas Vayeira as opposed to in Parshas Breshit? Because in my mind, this discussion basically gives the whole rationale as to why the world was created. Why are we waiting until Vayeira to uncover the secret? What is it about Vayeira?
Because, well, one thing about you, Rudy, that I've learned is whenever you ask a question, you have your own answer. So I'm sure you probably have novel thought. But if you want, I'll give over mine first. This book, and the Arizal's explanation was not written in that form. Where you're writing a book, you introduce a concept, and then you develop it, and then explain it from different ways. it's based on the Torah, and in the different parts of the Torah, he brings out different ideas. Also, keep in mind that this book, Apples from the Orchard, is selecting tidbits or specific passages from different works of the Arizal. And in this chapter, we have two. I think we have Sefer Likutim, and we have Likutei Torah. Let's see, before Sefer Halikutim. And this is Likutei Torah and Sefer Likutim. Yes, I was right. So it's pulled out in selections. So just because we didn't come across it yet doesn't mean that it's not mentioned earlier, but probably it isn't mentioned earlier. And also remember, I'm giving you background based on what we've learned in the last 6.5 years, because a lot of this is kind of new to me, and certainly in many parts, many ways. So I'm able to explain background. Over here, I don't know if he's giving the background the way I am. He could just be discussing more of different details of it. But you are right that this is something that is foundational to understanding of a lot of Kabbalah and a lot of what's demanded of us. Why it mentions it here is because in this parasha we talked about the three friends of Abraham, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. The bris milah, Hashem appeared to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. The Torah doesn't say Hashem appeared to Abraham, period. Hashem appeared to Abraham when he was sitting at the in the heat of the day, door of his tent, heat of the day. Doesn't say that. The Torah makes a point to say that Hashem appeared to Abraham in the flatlands of Mamre. Where else do we talk about the flatlands of Mamre? We do speak about Avram's three friends, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. But where do we speak specifically about the plains of Mamre? Torah here chooses or makes a point of stating that Hashem appeared to Avram in Elonei Mamre. It doesn't say that Avram had his bris in Elonei Mamre, and so obviously Hashem appeared to him a couple days later. We know where he was. It's just Hashem appeared to him in Elonei Mamre. So this chapter is discusses the who was Mamre, who he personified Kabbalistically. So we're getting to who was Mamre and what is the meaning of Elonei. And if I say it now, then you guys won't want to come back next week. You'll know all the answers. So we'll explain later of Elonei and Mamre. Elonei meaning the plains of, and Mamre. And also the other two friends as well, Aner and Eshkol. And the difference between the other two friends and Mamre himself. At the moment, I don't remember if the three of them were brothers or not. But in any case, so what's the difference? What makes Mamre stand out from the other two? And it's directly connected with what we're learning here. So that's why he talks about it here. Hashem appeared to him in the plains of Mamre. Okay. I'm thinking, Rudy, in your question, we do answer that question in other places, not in the Kabbalah, but that the focal point of the Torah is that Hashem chose the children of the descendants of Abraham as a cherished nation, as a chosen nation to receive the Torah and have the responsibility of mitzvahs and so on. And we do find that right in the beginning of Torah, Bereshis, Beis Reshis, that the world was created for two firsts, the Jewish people who are called first, and the Torah, which is called first. The very next pasuk, that there was a great chaos. The world was chaos. There was darkness over the deep waters, over the depths. Refers to the suffering and the gullus, the exiles that we experience. V'ruach Elokim, but the spirit of Mashiach was there hovering over the water. So right in the first pasuk, or first two psukim of the Torah, Torah is right away talking about the purpose of the world, Jewish people and the Torah. And the Torah right away is saying that there's going to be suffering, and the end game is Mashiach. So over there, the Torah, we could see how the Torah does address your concern. Does it happen here in the Kabbalah as well? Probably, in a similar way. We talk about. I'm sure that there are allusions to Mashiach, to the end game, right in the beginning. But again, this book is a selection of snippets of passages from the Arizal. If you were to take just the Hebrew and eliminate all the English in this, I don't know how many. Each chapter would maybe be one page, maybe even half a page, maybe one page, maybe 2 pages. A chapter, if we spread it out over 10 pages.
Well, I guess this discussion was saved for Parshas Vayeira because of the bris Milah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the bris milah is the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's where the flesh becomes holy.
Right.
And there you go, right there.
Yeah.
Did you look ahead?
That's the connection of Zer Anpin and Nukva, where the
Right.
flesh becomes holy.
That is what he's going to explain.
So you answered the question, Chaim.
Okay, you answered it. Yeah, but it does get there.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, anything else? Okay, so if there's no other objections, then let's continue. Hi, I lost my place.
No.
Yeah, bottom of 90.
Okay.
Okay,
No.
so just a minute, let me do this. 9. Did I do 9 already?
I don't.
Our main task is to repair Zerampin and Nukva through serving Hashem, which will cause them to interact. When they interact, the Gvura judgments of Nukva is tempered by the Chesed benevolence of Zerampin. So this is something that we have a lot.
Yep.
You want to discuss? We'll discuss. This is something that we have a lot about tempering the judgments, sweetening the dinin, the severities. And I mean, again, we talk about it in our physical world. It's like the dropping of the defenses and building the attraction, leading to intimacy. We have, we bring a lot of baggage with us to the end of the day. Things weigh heavily in our mind, all kinds of stuff, work, family, whatever it is. And then there's a sense to unwind, especially in preparation for intimacy, and kind of like the outing, the date. People go out to eat. People go for a movie. So, for example, people just sit and talk, and that helps you unwind, helps you drop the defenses, helps you relax, and so on. The Gevura judgments that we're talking about here are probably along those lines, similar to that. The idea to relax and to unwind and to prepare just to be emotionally ready for intimacy. And those are in our understanding, that's similar to the Gvura or judgment. So that's the earthly counterpart of the judgments and Gvura of Malchus. And so that's what we're talking about, being sweetened and being open and relaxed and looking forward to a relationship, to a physical relationship. And so that comes along. That's a lot of what we talk about also. And I think it's important to say that. So now, there are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. The alphabet is 22 letters. 5 of them have what we call finals. That when the letter is in the last position of the word, then it switches form, and we use final letters. The final letters are Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, Ches, where are we? Known as Man Sapach. Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, Ches. Chaf, Chaf. These final letters correspond to Gvura of Malchus, Gvura of Nukva. They are known as letters of Gvura. We've had them in other places. Just parenthetically, this is a hard and fast rule about these final letters. It says at some point, the Talmud says that at some point there was confusion and they weren't sure which letters go in the middle of the word, which letters go at the end of the word. So like, does the regular mem or the final mem, which shape is the regular, is it the middle of the word, and which one's the final? But then our prophets sorted it out and set us straight. Also, if to my knowledge, there is one exception in the entire Tanakh to this rule, and where a closed mem is used in the middle of the word. I think it's Yeshaya chapter 9, and it refers to Mashiach. It's a phrase that refers to Mashiach and the coming of Mashiach. The closed mem being a higher level. We did have a closed mem a few chapters back, referring to Nukva, but I don't remember exactly what it was. We had okay, I think in Noach. In any case, 11. These final letters correspond to Gvura of Nukva, Malchus. Their total value is 280. Mamre, a friend of Abraham, advised him to go ahead with the bris. The value of Mamre is 281, who personified the states of Gvura. So what we're going to be going to is that the bris helps the Gvura, the severities of Malchus, to be sweetened. Mamre personifies the states of Gvura. And how do we see that in the numbers? Because Mamre is 281, and the Gvura letters, known as the final letters, Mansapach, are also 280. And Mamre, when Avram gets the bris, then the judgments of Mamre are able to be sweetened. Okay, so Jim, please continue.
Know that the states of Gevurah within the feminine archetype are embodied in the final letters Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, Chaf, whose combined numerical value is 280. These 5 letters possess final forms, which indicate the stopping of the flow of the meaning in the word. Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, Chaf, 40 plus 50 plus 90, 80 plus 20, 280. With this, you will be able to understand a deep secret, namely, the one who gave Abraham the advice to circumcise himself was Mamre, who personified the states of Gevurah. For the numerical value of his name is 280 plus the kolel. When God had commanded Abraham to circumcise himself, he consulted with Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Aner said, "You will make yourself a cripple. The relatives of the kings you killed will come and kill you." Another opinion, Aner told him, "You're already 99 years old. Why subject yourself to the pain?" Eshcol said, "You are old. If you cut yourself, you will bleed to death." Another opinion, Eshkol said, why arouse the wrath of your enemies who oppose doing anything that promises divine consciousness? Mamre said, your God stood by you in the fiery furnace, in the famine, in your war against the kings, and if he asked you to circumcise yourself, you won't listen.
Okay, yeah, good. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mamre, mem, resh, aleph, 40 plus 40, 200 plus 1, 281.
Okay, and read the next line.
280 signifies, as we saw, the states of Gevurah, which seeks to couple and therefore be sweetened. Mhm.
Okay, thank you. It's telling my internet connection is not stable. I hope we're okay. Any questions or comments?
I wonder if it's your laptop.
The last computer I got had also same thing, but much worse. So I don't know.
How did you define previously the process of sweetening? Was it rectification or?
Sweetening or tempered? I think I've always used those terms.
Right, but what do you mean by that?
What do I mean? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
Can you guys hear me?
yep.
Yes, you
yes,
can.
Okay. What does it mean that they're tempered what does it mean that they're tempered or sweetened? That
yes.
the judgments restrict the flow of divine energy. And to sweeten them means that the valves open and the divine energy flows freely.
So would that be like bringing down the Shefa?
Bringing down the Shafa, opening the brachas, opening the flow of blessings for us. Judgment means, Gvura means, when Gvura is dominant, it means that we're stubbing our toe. It means that you're stuck in traffic. There's a bad accident. Truck turned over at 2:06 this afternoon, exit 45 on the 91. People are stuck in traffic for hours, okay? That's judgments. All the kind of tsaras that we get. Okay? Your guy, the person you want loses the election. Whatever it is. Those are all tsaras, the restricting the flow of brachas, of blessings. That's what judgment means. Okay, you can't have it. I'm not giving it to you. You don't deserve it.
Mhm.
So when we sweeten or temper the judgments, the dinin, then we are opening the valves for the flow of divine energy. That the brachas come in. Thank God we do well financially. Things are good in our family. Our health is okay. And we don't get stuck in traffic. My daughter just took her 3 hours to get back from Hartford instead of 30 minutes.
Mm.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, one of the parents came to do pickup, got stuck. They were over an hour late.
Oh,
They couldn't get off the highway.
No, it was a bad accident. Everything's backed up. Anyways, so that's what it means to sweeten the judgments.
Okay.
The name of Hashem, we all know, that represents the flow of divine energy is Hashem, Havaya, and the name that restricts divine energy is Elohim.
mhm.
Before we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, we read chapter 47 7 times. one of the lines there, is the operative line, Allah Elokim Bisrua. Elokim, with the divine judgments, rose up with the blowing of the shofar, with the trua, Havaya Bikol Shofar, and Havaya with the sound of the shofar. So in that pasuk, we begin with Elokim, with the name of judgments, and then we change it over to Havaya, the name of chesed, of benevolence, of compassion. And that's what we're doing by blowing the shofar. We're changing the judgment into passion and blessing. Any comments?
Okay.
So, good. Okay, so here's where we're going, guys. 11. When Zer Anpin, and so we just said that Mamre was looking to sweeten his because he is judgment, he's Gvura. We're going to see that he's different than the other two friends, Aner and Eshkol. 11. When Zer Anpin interacts with Nukva, the states of Gvura and Nukva are tempered. Before his bris, Avraham's foreskin prevented a proper interaction with Nukva. This seems to mean that his marital relationship, that Avraham engaging in his own marital relationship, was supposed to cause a flow of divine energy from supernal chesed through Zer Anpin and onto Nukva, but it could not do so because the foreskin prevented it. I don't mean, maybe it means his own service of Hashem. Maybe it means actually his marital relationship. Mamre advised Avram to go ahead with the circumcision so Zer Anpin could interact properly with Nukva and cause divine energy to flow and temper Mamre's judgments. I would like to point out that over here it says that Avram could not couple. He could not interact with Sarah. And I don't think it does not mean that in the literal sense. I think it means that it was not interacting in a way that would draw the divine flow, and that is prevented and represented by the foreskin. Okay, Gershon, go ahead. 91.
With this, that's where we are.
No, as long.
As long.
As long as Abraham was uncircumcised, he could not couple. For the supernal hesed that is revealed in the mouth of Ima withdraws when it reaches the foreskin. Mamre therefore advised him to circumcise himself. I have a little question there. Remember, when we talk about circumcision, there were three parts. The removal, the middle membrane, and the suction. So then all of a sudden, I had a question: how did he do the suction on himself? But that's maybe for another time. The mouth of Ima signifies Malchus of Ima, the expression of the intellect as it passes from Ima to Zer Anpin. If the Hesed issuing from Ima to Zer Anpin encounters the foreskin, a blockage in the Yesod of Zer Anpin, it recedes back into Ima. Zer Anpin is thus left without the full mentality of Ima and cannot properly couple with Nukva.
Yes, answer to your question. We don't do the sucking with the mouth on an adult.
And
they probably didn't do it that time either.
All right. So those are the three requirements for a newborn.
It could they squeeze. They probably squeeze. Using a gauze. Today, certainly, I know that it's not done on adults.
All right. So, makes my life so much better now.
Yeah, you'll sleep better. 12. The Torah says Abraham had three friends, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. Aner equals 320, the number of states of Gvura in Zer Anpin. Hold on. Mamre personified the states of Gvura. Period. Aner equals 320, the number of states of Gvura in Zer Anpin. I don't know where that comes from, that 320. What it has to do with states of Gvura. Eshkol The second friend is Yesod, which is associated with the name Shakai Shin Dalid Yud. Give me 1 minute, please. Okay, Yesod draws from Chesed and from the name Ekia. Yesod draws from Chesed, which is affiliated with Ekia, and Yesod is affiliated with the name Shin Daled Yud. Shakai equals 314, and the regressive value of Ekia is 44. Remember, regressive value means that you count the first letter 4 times, the second letter 3 times, third letter twice, and the last letter once. On a 4-letter word, that's how it works. So Ekia, Aleph Hey Yud Hey, in regressive value is 44. So Shakai and Ekia together are 358, which is the same as Eshkol 357, the name of the second friend of Abraham.
With the Kollel.
With the Kollel. Close doesn't count except in horseshoes,
And hand grenades.
hand grenades, and
atomic
gematria.
And what gematria?
Okay? So all 3 friends are Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. All 3 friends are Gevura. What we're going to show is, if I'm not mistaken, that the Gevura of Aner and Eshkol do not get sweetened. So they will stand no benefit from a bris. Mamre is from a Gevura that does get sweetened. So he says, go ahead, have the bris so he can benefit from it.
With friends like
Okay.
that,
Need to hear.
Gershon?
as we know, Abraham had 3 friends, Einar, Eshkol, and Mamre. Einar personified the states of Gebura within Zerampin, which number 320, this being the numerical value of Einar. Einar, Ein, Nush, Resh, 70 plus 50 plus 200, 320.
We didn't elaborate on 320.
I understand. I tried, but
Its name actually is Aner. It's not Einar. It's a bad mistake here. It's Aner. Aneir.
Oh, okay. I don't know why he says that.
Yeah, I don't know. I marked it down. I'm going to send him a whole bunch of corrections. Gershon, go ahead, 92.
Eshkol personified Yesod of Zerampin, which is associated with the name Shakai, and causes the states of Chesed within the name Ekie, which is associated with Ima, to descend. This is indicated by the fact that the numerical value of the regression of Ekie is 44, as you know, and thus the combined numerical value of this regression and the name Shakai is the same as that of Eshkol plus the Kollel. Eshkol, 357. Ekie is spelled Aleph, Hey, Vav, Hey. Its regression is 44. Shakai, Shin, Dalet, Yud, 300 plus 314. 44 plus 314, 358. Eshkol thus signifies the effect of the name Shakai, Yesod of Zerampin, on the name Ekie, Ima.
Hey, one moment. Okay, it says here, Ekia is connected with Keser, and Shakai, Shindalad Yud, is Yesod. Hashem's name connected with Yesod. Shakai has various interpretations, express one fundamental idea, the notion of divine protection and nurturing, shields, borders, and secures boundaries. Yesod creates connection and relationship through focus and proper boundaries. Yesod realigns, refocuses, readjusts, and remembers disparate elements and brings them within a construct of greater unity. Thus, Yesod is also connected with nurturing and healing. Okay, Shakai can be translated in a number of different ways. One way is enough, that Hashem says enough to the world. He provides just the right amount of the Cinderella syndrome. Not too hot, not too cold, just right.
Oh, that's Goldilocks.
Goldilocks, same difference. And so that's one thing. Shindal Yud also, well, we'll see a few other things here. We'll come across.
All right.
Okay. 13. There are several ideas behind the name Shakai. I think we give three meanings here. One meaning is that Hashem nurtures and provides for creation. This is what happens. It's 8:40. You guys want to pause here?
Yeah. I think we're starting to enter a whole new phase here.
Yeah.
And
We're opening the door.
I'm getting, I'm full, you know, and there's a lot here. There's an awful lot here.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. It's too much. Again, I think we need to slow this piece down. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but
It's my.
No, I agree with you. This is like a domain that we could have conversations on.
It's my recollection. For some reason, Shakai is the letter on the mezuzah or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Because you said, protection, border.
There's a whole lot here. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
You put it on the border of your house.
Yeah.
And it's actually, so Shin Daled Yud is written on the back of the mezuzah.
Hmm.
And that's what faces out. So, I'm going through this. I'm into it. I'm very focused on the explanation of what's written here. So you guys, I'm not going to stop. I probably won't stop to go off on tangents. You need to stop me and say, I have a question here. I have a thought here, and speak up.
Mhm.
Don't rely on me for that.
No, we're not. I
I'll do my
think
best to be in tune and open and remembering to stop, to pause.
I think that, I'm sated. I think there's a lot more. We've kind of jumping into a new kind of place from the sweetening piece. Now we're into something else that's as calls for as much concentration and meditation.
Okay,
I-
as I say, if it works for you guys, that's fine. I'm okay with it. Just, I'm not going to be opening up that discussion. You need to stop me and
Yes.
bring and
So
bring-
I'm doing it. I don't know. And Rudy's, I think, is anybody, we're on board with that? I mean, I'll continue if you want.
No, it's enough.
It's enough. Okay, so it's,
Enough.
So the other thing is, for example, Rudy asked a question before. Why is this showing up in Vayeira?
right.
And the only way I was able to give half an answer was because I prepared ahead. So sometimes you're going to have questions. The answer might be at the end of the chapter that we're doing. It's there for us, but that's why I like to do the whole thing, in one shot. But that's okay. It's okay. It's whatever works for you guys. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, feedback?
I think we're on the mark. I like this evening because we're going to slow down when we need to slow down, and it's not because we're not getting it, but it's just that it warrants a deeper level of discussion so that we can build better connections. At least that's my opinion. So I guess I'm in agreement with Jim, and we're all in agreement. So
That's fine. Thank you. The other thing is, what was your last word before you said I'm agreement with Jim?
I guess we're all in agreement.
The other thing is that we personalize it we make personal connections, like internal connections, your discussions
Right.
and what you're bringing up makes very strong personal connections.
Right. We're bringing it to Das ourselves, to Das, and that's very important for this process. In Panimi, we're internalizing it, and that's helpful, and the discussions are helpful for that.
Well said. Okay. Oh, hold on. There we go. I can see everybody better now.
And
Okay.
that's really helpful because that lasts a lot more than I don't know. When it's in Bina, it stays there. When it gets to Das, it's got a lot more lasting power, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Mona Lisa, time to go to sleep.
Mona Lisa.
Overdue.
Okay,
Okay,
Sounds
guys.
good.
thank you.
All right.
I don't mean to,
Until next week.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Not to say to be continued.
it's so rewarding to be able to churn it and internalize it. I'm just throwing that out too.
It's excellent. I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
I'm in agreement. It's very nice. It's very eye-opening and reflective to hear people's thoughts and feedback. And especially now, it's the second time around.
Mhm.
I've learned enough for myself. We talked about this. I've learned an awful lot, and I'm able. I think I've found a way for preparing that that helps me explain that I'm comfortable with, and I think is working well and gives me a much better comprehension of what we're learning, and hopefully that in turn makes us reflect more and be able to internalize
Mhm.
and comment.
Mhm.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank
great,
you.
everyone. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful week.
Yes. Good evening.
Thank you.
Be well.
Good evening.
Thanks,
Bye.